This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Bucket. Board man gets paid.
Apple time.
Can you imagine a dude in New Balances dunks on you and just says, bucket?
I said that today.
Starts going down the floor.
I just had a conversation with someone from where I came from, and it was, can you believe that the dude who's probably the best player in the NBA is going to cook all these people in New Balances?
While
night.
eating apples.
Yeah. Every night he's wearing New Balances. Like, do you think Nike would go back and be like, okay, we'll just pay him?
No, he's suing him now.
Seriously. Like, bitterness, too. They're holding on to a claw logo. Like people don't even know what that is. Why do you need it that much?
Did you see what the Clippers are? You know, like Toronto's got the Kawhi and Dine.
Steve Ballmer tried to buy it.
Steve Ballmer was like, listen, we'll buy the other half of your logo.
Yeah, and we'll get it perfect. You can have it. We'll just give it to you, which is gotta be tampering.
It's just a beautiful... Hey, Doc Rivers got fined $50,000 for saying that Kawhi is good, which, by the way, is the correct take.
Yeah, I mean, the tampering... That's Magic got fined for saying Giannis was going to win championships in Milwaukee.
Thank God that Magic's not actively involved in an NBA team anymore, so he can't be tampered when he tweets. Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam, big factors in why the Toronto Raptors were able to overcome the Golden State Warriors in tonight's NBA Finals game. How important he is. Boy, oh boy, Magic tweets are great. So the Warriors are bad. The Raptors are really, really good.
The Raptors are very good.
This is what we've learned.
I feel like the Warriors aren't bad. I feel like they're not playing defense at all.
They're the 2014 Heat.
Yeah, we said that earlier. Like, the series feels so much like 2014, and it's Kawhi again, just being like, yep, I'm the best player on the floor.
It's just also like a stark reminder that NBA dynasties, except for the Spurs, always end before you think they will.
Or just suddenly. Like, you never expect it.
The 98 Bulls were sudden.
The last time Bird played, what was it, 87?
Yeah.
Like, and then it was like, what would he have been to, like 5 out of 6, and then all of a sudden he was done.
Magic got 8. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it just... these things happen.
Still tough. But yeah, I mean, like, they always end quicker than you think. They're always like, oh, it was over just like that.
The Pistons could have easily been a 4 to 5 year dynasty with the Bad Boys, but Michael Jordan existed.
Yep. 6 straight conference finals from 03 to 08. Like, they could have won in 05. They could have gone back-to-back, and then who knows?
Then maybe...
And if Shaq doesn't go to Miami, then they're looking at 06 again.
Seriously. Yeah. And the Mavs were not a huge threat. It's like dynasties are so fickle. And it's like this series to me... Well, hey, greatness is greatness. I don't know what to tell you. The blood oaths with Satan in New England secured something.
Apparently.
But in the NBA, they're just extra fickle. Like... The Heat died fast.
So
everybody dies really quick, and it's touchy whether, like, Golden State, I think, had an opportunity to be the greatest team in the history of the NBA. I don't know that if they lose this series of 5 games that we can put that label on them.
It'll be tough.
Because the other thing is, and whether it's fair or not, they need Kevin Durant crowd, which I am...
He's on their team. Like, it's not... I love that people are saying this. I am a banner-waving
person.
Yeah, people are being like, see, they needed Durant. Well, yeah, that's why they signed him 3 years ago. Like, he's been there for, like, he's a part of the Warriors. People still try to separate him all the time. Like, they can't win without him. Well, yeah, he's on their team. They're not supposed to win without him.
But it's because Warrior fan is the one that tries to separate him. No, we never even needed him. Our original core, the vintage team, that's the really good one.
What's so wrong with needing him? What's so wrong with signing a free agent?
Nothing.
Being like, he's a big part of our team. He's huge for us.
He's the second best player on the planet. Like, kind of needed that guy.
We never looked, like, did we look at Kobe like that when Shaq left? Like, see, he needed him. Well, like, so what? Of course he needed him. He was on his team. Like,
everybody needs someone.
Yeah.
Like Jordan's not doing what he did without Pippen.
No.
And especially not without Paxson and Kerr. Like,
there. Rodman,
same
Grant,
Ray Allen.
Like
LeBron with Ray Allen. People go, well, LeBron needed Ray Allen. Okay.
No shit. That's why they paid him. That's why they signed him. That's why they gave him money. That's how you win.
Duh.
Like,
it's so it's all the people that are like the Warriors never needed Kevin Durant. He was extra. No, they didn't need DeMarcus Cousins, and they went and got him.
That's fair. That literally just fell in their lap.
Yeah.
Like, Bob Myers is on record being like, I thought he was joking. Like, when he called and said, I want to play for you guys, like, you know how much money we can offer you, right? It's not even the minimum. It's the taxpayer's minimum. He's like, yeah, I want to come. And I really thought he was kidding. Like, he had to make sure with his agent 3 times that he knew how much money he was going to get.
Remember when we all thought he was going to get a free ring?
I mean, it could happen.
Can it?
Kind of.
If KD plays.
That's another one that sucks too, where people are like, oh, Boogie sucks. It's like, no, dude, like he tore his quad like 3 weeks ago.
Listen,
like,
I've done a little bit of the Boogie stinks train.
Yeah, but like, I feel so bad for him.
I do too. It's tough sledding for him now too, because he tested waters with a 1 year on the MLE, and now he's got to go into free agency. No one really is interested. I think it
depends on how healthy he gets.
People might avoid him a little bit. It's like I saw a tweet today.
He'll have to wait.
Right. I saw a tweet today. Somebody was like, "Hey, Boogie calls and he wants to play for us." Well, there's plenty of fish in the sea, friend.
Give me a week. Like, yeah, it'll be one of those.
Wait this one out.
I heard Vince Carter say that on the Jump this week, and he was like, "Yeah, I know where I stand. I'll let the big fish fall, and then I'll get a phone call in a week or so." It's like, yeah, all right, that'll be Boogie this year, and it might be like a team that missed on a bunch of people and is like, "Sure, we'll give you a 1 year and we'll load it." Like,
definitely
could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think just the real story should be Kawhi Leonard. It's not. It feels like it is,
won't
and
let
it
it
isn't.
be the story
Because he's so weird.
Yeah, like he's just
appetite.
He's a fun guy. Like,
is he?
I don't know. He says he is.
I struggle with the demeanor thing too, because I get like he watched his dad get murdered in front of him at his own car wash, and apparently that was a big factor
that'll leave some scars.
Yeah, in why he is the way that he is. But you can't sit down at a restaurant and just take 12 apples out of a sack and eat them with a knife and fork.
You can't sit down at a TGI Fridays and take out 12 apples in a sack and eat them with a knife. You're going to sit down at Prime 112 in Miami with a sack of apples?
It's tough.
They got 4 stars or Michelin, whatever the hell it is. You can't do that.
Pop goes, "Hey, what do you want to order?" Nothing from me,
good.
man.
Apple
good.
time.
Yeah, apple.
It's apple time.
Apple time. That's all he would say.
You need 12 of them.
Bucket. Did you see he was talking to Rachel Nichols and she was asking him about his trash talk at San Diego State?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, well, we were all trying to get to the NBA, so it was a double-double every night. The board man does get paid."
Try to get double-doubles. The piece that Bontemps had this morning about him and Trevor Ariza working out and Ariza like losing one-on-one drills when Kawhi was a sophomore and Kawhi beating him to the gym every single morning. Like, all that stuff is wild, especially for a dude who never speaks. Like, somebody with that work ethic, somebody who's that good to just like never talk in this sport is wild. Like, you understand it when Connor McDavid doesn't talk. He's just like a normal dude.
He's like Mike Trout for the NBA.
Sure. Like, that's a perfect comp. Like, just like, doesn't say a word.
One of the, like, if you could build a perfect basketball player.
You can, like, he's it.
Him
the arms, the
or
hands.
Kevin Durant. Like, you would flip a coin and it would be him or Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I'd probably take him. Like, the shoulders, everything
I
about it.
would
Like,
too.
yeah, he's a little bit more athletic. Like, I love Kevin Durant. Scoring-wise, I'll take Kevin Durant for sure. But Kawhi is a defensive player of the year and does, like, he scores like a machine.
He's also reminding us how good he was. Like, I think people forgot about that when he only played 9 games a year ago. I was like, I don't know if I can still call him a top 10 guy when Toronto got him. And as a Celtics person, and like the Celtics having as much preseason love as they had, and people were like, well, now Toronto has Kawhi. Now they have the best player in the East. And I was like, but do they? Because we don't even know who Kawhi is. They might have the best player in the NBA.
The only thing that was, like, pushing me towards Toronto was, like, well, they won 60 games and then they got better with a trade. So, like, yeah, they could be better. They could do this. But I wasn't sitting here trumpeting, oh, Kawhi Leonard's the best player. They just got amazing. It was like, oh, Danny Green and Kawhi, yeah, they got better, and they just won 60 games. So who knows?
Turns out Masai Ujiri knows what he's doing.
He's not awful.
Okay, so Nick Nurse is getting a lot of love too. I want to know where you stand on this. People think Nick Nurse is suddenly this just incredible NBA head coach, one of the best. Like,
why? Because he went to a box and won when there was only one good player on the floor. What a breakthrough! Right. Like, yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit. I mean, he's a rookie head coach. He's coaching the NBA Finals, and he's doing a pretty damn good job. They're up 3-1. Do I think that
Steve Kerr did that too?
Yeah. Do I think that Nick Nurse is of the caliber of Steve Kerr? No. Like, could he maybe be? He's a journeyman. He's worked his way. Like, he's coached literally everywhere. Just maybe he just got lost in the weeds and now he's here.
It makes me laugh because it's just like I look at Dwayne Casey.
Yeah, it sucks.
And like,
it really sucks for him.
The comment he made earlier when he was like, when you walk into the Pistons facility, you see trophies. I never had that in Toronto. But now he's watching it and people are like, Nick Nurse, is he the best coach in the NBA? And
no,
people
dude,
are like,
he got Kawhi.
Might be. And Dwayne Casey's got to be sitting there like, he got to run the Kawhi Leonard play. Like let me run that
Danny
play.
Green. Like, he got, like, they couldn't shoot threes with DeMar. Remember? Like, they were the worst 3-point shooting team.
I was running Jakob Pertl and DeMar DeRozan plays You gave this guy Kawhi and Danny Green and the rest of the same team. No wonder they got better.
They were so bad that McDonald's offered to give away free fries when they made 12 threes. That's how often, or how less than often, they ever made 12 threes. All of a sudden, you get Danny Green and Kawhi, and they're giving away $5 million worth of fries in a season.
They were San Antonio East, is what they were.
Yeah, essentially. If Brooklyn isn't, yeah.
Brooklyn takes, like, they have Joe Harris. But
Yeah. I mean, every pop disciple can claim San Antonio. Like, Bud could claim it in Milwaukee. Toronto can claim it because they have Kawhi and
But I'm just like,
Atkinson in Brooklyn.
When they were mid-range happy, when it was like less than 12, they were literally San Antonio East.
For sure.
Just trying to run through bigs. Speaking of San Antonio East, I think it's time also that we like reopen the discussion about the 76ers. Because
in what way?
Now that the Raptors are in the finals and just bludgeoning the Warriors, feels like the Sixers...
the Warriors. We have to like at least acknowledge that they don't have the full arsenal.
Certainly, but again, and I want to get to that as well because I think there's some fun to be had. But I look at the Sixers now and I'm like, they really were just Warriors East, but a little more healthy. And maybe if they get past Toronto and Embiid doesn't have diarrhea, all of a sudden they're looking at being the NBA champions. And
I don't think they could have done it.
That rookie max extension on Ben Simmons looks a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I still remember Philly just as struggling to get on the boards, not being deep enough, having no backup big. Like when you have a center that you pay
the backup center
million
issue
to, you got to have somebody to back them up.
The backup center issue is big.
They're tough there. They don't have shooting off the bench. I don't know. Like there's no Fred VanVleet for Philly, for Philly. There's no Ibaka for Philly. There's no all those things that Toronto has been able to get. Like Ibaka's been phenomenal in this series.
Good.
Like really, really good.
So good.
But
Kyle Lowry has been tremendous the past couple
scoring.
games.
Like it's just bug. Like he's just bugging everybody, and
he's Marcus Smart-esque. The way he's getting in front of players
Lindsey
and taking
Hunter-esque.
charges. Yes, he's like gritty. It's iconic.
He does lead the playoffs in charges. I think he led the league in charges this year too.
I think he might have. And I'm struggling. I used to love to slander Lowry, but I'm starting to just fall in love with him.
He makes you hate him. He really does. Like if you're playing against him, he's one of those guys, one of those Pat Bev types where he's just in you the whole damn time. But yeah, I mean, watching him play, you can see what he brings.
My other if you're Toronto and Kawhi does leave, where do you go?
I mean, you have every right to just flip it and say, we won, we're done.
I know,
it
feels like
Siakam, we're building on this.
They've wanted to do it for so long, why don't you just blow it up?
I mean, Serge is off the books, Gasol's off the books, you still got Lowry, that's your only asset to go get other young talent if you want it, and then you build around Siakam and Anunoby and all these young guys, and maybe you can move Lowry for a good draft pick. Maybe you can swing him to the Lakers. Yeah. Maybe.
Might let you wait a year on giving Siakam the rookie max, too.
Yeah. They'll definitely wait in a year. They're not getting him done this summer.
If they keep Kawhi, they might. I think if you keep Kawhi, he's going to
start
looking at Siakam.
He's going to want a max, and when you're coming off a rookie deal, when you're asking for a max, it's a lot easier if you've made an all-star team, and he'll make it next year. So if I'm him, obviously you got to be worried about getting hurt, and you don't want to go into the final year of a contract ever without the one done next, but he's guaranteed a max if he makes an all-star team. Guaranteed. Right now, they don't have to give it to him.
Definitely. By the way, the Sixers should take this same route with Ben Simmons, in my opinion.
For sure.
I don't know why you would just give him this extension.
He did make an all-star team.
Right, but...
I wouldn't give him a max, not with Embiid.
Who's the better player right now, Siakam or Ben Simmons?
Right now, more complete player Siakam, but
I know the higher upside is certainly...
it's definitely Simmons. I mean...
But maybe neither of them have a ceiling.
No, it's tough to know. It's really, Siakam is still so, Simmons is raw, but Siakam started playing 5 years ago.
Yeah, true.
He was at a camp when he was 16, the first time he really played. And I still, I'd rather offer Siakam the max because he fits with what I have. You offer Simmons the max, you're tied to $160 million for Embiid and $145 for Simmons. What did Booker just get? 56, something like that. Something ridiculous, some wild number. And those two are tied together for the next 5 years. And you have to figure it out. You haven't figured it out yet. Brett Brown's probably not the coach to figure it out. It's just really tough for me to give Ben Simmons that money right now.
You know me, I'm not a huge Brett Brown guy.
There's not a lot to make you a huge Brett Brown guy.
I know a lot of Sixers fans are huge Brett Brown guys.
Just because he's been through the shit with them, though.
Yeah, it's he was in the trenches with this bro. We ride for this guy. But at some point...
So was Mark Jackson.
Right, there's got to be a coach.
Yeah, man. He's just not the guy. Like, you can tell. He's just not the guy. He might be a great guy. You might want to run through a wall for him, but he just can't win you a game. Like,
he's not a big X's and O's guy.
At all.
And not a big in-game adjustments guy
he's
either.
Just like...
He's like Budenholzer, but not quite as good.
He was the antithesis of Budenholzer in a way, right? When they were both on the bench together, Budenholzer was the X's and O's guy. Brown was the player guy.
Neither of them were adjustment
That's
guys.
why Philly hired him, because he was a player development guy, and they were going to suck. Like, they wanted a guy who could help young guys. That's why they hired him. You got to turn it over to somebody else now.
Now, you need
Go
a
get
Spo.
Jeff Van Gundy. Yeah.
Please get him off the ESPN bench.
How about his take that the guy pushed Lowry was in the right for a minute? Like, for a minute, he was just like, "Well, yeah, Lowry went flying into him." I was like, "Jeff, did you not see that?"
He might not have, because
I'll
it was
give him
tough.
credit.
But boy, that was a tough take. And it was the other night. I even tweeted something where he was talking about a rule, and Mike Breen was like, "Well, Jeff, that is how it's called."
Trying to keep it on the rails.
Yeah,
Breen always trying to keep it on the rails.
Jeff Van Gundy's just like, you know what, Mike Breen, I'm fucking talking right now. This rule
this is
stinks.
Stupid.
Yeah.
We should change it.
It just get him out. Him and Mark Jackson both.
He is entertaining. It's just like nonsense.
I'm just over it too.
Yeah,
I've been listening to it for what, 3-4 years. I'm done.
It's better than Marv Albert. Like, I can't do Marv Albert anymore. He gets everything wrong. Like, he just blatantly gets everything wrong.
We can go down this road. I don't want to do Marv. I don't want to do Hubie. There's a lot I don't want to do
sitting
anymore.
right there. TNT. What are you doing?
Doris Burke could be the best color commentator in the sport. Maybe in sports.
I've heard Mark Jackson say "hand down, man down" enough times.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm done with all of that. As far as the Masai Ujiri thing goes, how many GMs would you just launch through the roof of the building if Masai Ujiri was like, "Yeah, I'll come to your team"?
I mean, you've heard the rumors about like Washington hasn't hired a GM yet because they're waiting on Masai. I don't know that I'd want to go to Washington if I'm Masai Ujiri. Like, they're kind of screwed. I guess you can trade Beal and you can have a lot of fun with like an empty roster, whatever. And Ted Leonsis will literally give you 20 years. Like, he didn't fire Grunfeld, and they've been awful for literally ever.
You will have your entire career.
Yep, you'll be set,
and you will make lots of money.
And it's a solid market. Like, it's East Coast. It's a medium market.
It's not terrible. It's a great city.
It's not a great sports market, but it's a market.
Great city.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? When he went to Toronto, they didn't love basketball all that much either. So, if that's what's going to happen for him, good for him if that's what he wants.
If he wins, he's just even if he leaves forever. It's the same thing with Kawhi. If they win, which they're going to win. Yeah. You're in gold there no matter what you do. Kawhi can leave. Nobody's going to be mad at him. Thanks, man.
I mean,
it was a good year.
If they win and he leaves, I would be willing to say with beyond a reasonable doubt he'd still have his number retired.
I agree.
Like
100%.
You come for 1 year and you're a Finals MVP and you're the reason we win a championship. Your number's going up.
Will he be Finals MVP?
Yeah.
Because I'm digging Siakam's numbers right now too.
Yeah, it's still gonna be Kawhi.
I know that game 1, the game 3 though. I'm digging with Siakam.
Siakam had a big game 1. He was not so great in the loss. Kawhi was still pretty damn good in the loss. Kawhi's at 36, the most quiet 36 you've ever seen in game 4.
I felt like Curry's 47 in game 3 was also the quietest 47 points I've ever seen, and it was an electric performance.
The thing about Kawhi's 36 is if you missed 5 minutes of the third quarter, then you missed him doing it. Like, he just took over out of the gate. They were down 4, all of a sudden they were up 8.
Right.
It was like 19 of his 36 in the third quarter.
They have done so much of that, and it's like that was the first thing I said in game 1. They survived the third quarter. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that in game 2. Every game since. Game 3 is a little iffy just because it was Steph Curry on his own.
They had opportunities to lose game 3. Golden State had opportunities to take game 3.
And it's just like game 3 and game 4, both of them felt like every time where the Warriors usually would just, all right, we're going to go on this run and take a 6-point lead and you will never see it again. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't. Like, Toronto was just like, actually, no, you're not.
In game 3, it was like they were just holding them off. Like, every single punch the Warriors do, they'd get it to 6, they'd get it to 6, they'd get it to 6, and then boom, 3. Like, somebody hits a 3. Lowry, Danny Green, somebody hits a 3.
Danny Green was out of his mind. And it was a lot of that because Klay Thompson didn't play. But
game 4, it was just like the storm was coming from Kawhi, and that was it. And they couldn't get, Golden State couldn't answer. Like, they have no offense. When Curry and Thompson aren't going, that's when you need Durant. That's when it's like, okay, we throw it to you and you just get buckets. Or Boogie on the block. Like, they did that when Durant was out late in the season and Boogie was playing, and fine. But they just don't have that, and you can't rely on Quinn Cook to hit 3 threes.
They have a shot. Like, I think they're done, but because they look so...
I'm not ruling them out. They're not dead until they're dead.
Well, and I'm not talking this year. I'm talking in the future. Like, they look so lifeless in the half court when they don't have Durant, and when they don't have like a prime Andre Iguodala, or when they don't have Harrison Barnes or somebody just screening. When
The
it's
ball
like
movement is at its best when they're flying around.
Yeah,
like they gotta cut hard. They gotta run.
no
hard.
depth. It's been tough. I feel like the dynasty might not be done because I think there's still ways they can salvage it this summer.
Depending on where Durant goes, they're probably still the Vegas favorite. Like, just Vegas speaking.
I think we got to figure out where all the rest of the
It
free agents land.
depends on where it falls, but Durant's probably the one guy. He's the best free agent that can swing. Like, Kawhi could go to LA and be the betting favorite.
If I was going to just say, if Kawhi goes to the Clippers, might they end up being the preseason favorite?
I was just saying Durant and Kawhi. Depending on where they go, like Golden State's could possibly be the preseason favorite. If I'll tell you this, if they both stay put, Golden State's preseason favorite, even if they lose.
What if? I mean, I think there's a situation. A lot has to happen for me. Okay, a lot has to happen for me for that to be the case where Durant leaves and they're still preseason favorite. Because I think the scenario where Durant leaves but Kyrie stays in Boston and they get Anthony Davis, Boston's the preseason favorite.
Do you think that's going to happen?
No, but I think that's betting favorite. In a world where that happens.
In a world where that happens, sure.
I think there's more situations where Golden State's not the betting. There's a situation where the Lakers could end up being the betting favorite if they just pull off a miracle. But again, having Rob Pelinka, not great.
Like, it's not just Rob Pelinka at this point. Like, yes, having Rob Pelinka is not great, but like, Frank Vogel's your coach, Jeannie Buss is your owner.
Frank Vogel's your interim head coach. Jason Kidd is the coach.
They put Lionel Hollins on the bench too. He took Jason Kidd's job. Who's taking whose job here? Like, who knows what's going to happen with LA?
You want me to go to the same guy who couldn't make it work with Giannis. That's what you want me to do.
Giannis loved him, though. Like, in the end, he wanted to save his gig. Like, maybe if they hadn't fired him and had Joe Prunty as the head coach, they could have advanced for a round or something. But
could be. Like, the Hospital Celtics were there for the taking.
Remember, people were trying to position themselves to get to 7
they
so
sure
they could
were.
play him. Didn't work out so well. But, yeah, I mean, Jason Kidd is former teammates with LeBron. They won a gold medal. Like, he's not going to listen to Frank Vogel. Everybody knows that. So, I don't know who the head coach is in L.A. I don't know why L.A. is a big sell other than Los Angeles, which might be enough for Jimmy Butler.
The other thing that this finals has done for me, I thought LeBron's legacy was like irreparably damaged this year. I still think some of that is true. But man, is LeBron fan getting a huge boost out of the Warriors being injured and then losing like this in the finals.
Irreparably damaged seems a little far. Like, damaged, but like it can.
Sure.
If he goes on run, like, he can repair it.
He has goodwill left.
I just think that it's definitely takes a hit when you come to the West and don't make the playoffs. Like, that definitely takes a hit.
And then in the same year, the East wins the championship.
Exactly. That might actually help him. That probably does help him to say, like, yeah, I was in the West, but see, if I were in the East, I still could have beaten this team.
I think that's probably true, and I think it's also like all of those people who go, well, he lost the Warriors the first time, and then you go, well, he didn't have Kyrie or Kevin Love. They go, well, losing Kyrie in Game 1 didn't matter, and now it's like, well, you're going to defend the Warriors because, hey, they didn't have Clay and they didn't have Kevin Durant. It's the same thing. And I think it's actually benefiting LeBron in a way because it's like, we held this against him. Now we have to look at this the other way too.
I don't know if it's the same thing. It's adjacent for me. Like,
sure.
Saying it's the same thing would be to count Kevin Love as the caliber of need for the Cavs as Klay Thompson. That doesn't check out.
Kyrie, certainly.
Right, but
I don't think they
Durant
ever
too.
needed Kevin Love.
Like, yeah,
right.
but like, so if you're missing two guys, and Kyrie played Game 1 and they lost.
True, that's fair.
But Kevin Love was out for that was a first round against Boston. Then he got hurt, right? So he was out the whole playoffs. They still swept through the East.
Yeah.
They beat the 60-win Atlanta team in 4 games.
No problem.
Kevin Love in the finals was okay. Like, he was never a dude who swung a game for them in the finals.
I may be wrong, but I think Game 1 when Kyrie got hurt, wasn't it a tie game and he came down from a layup, like tied the game, and then had to leave the game?
Yeah, I
and then they lost.
It was a very close game.
Yeah,
it was a very, very close
Kyrie
game.
was going off.
He
had like 23, 7, 6.
There's never been a point where Kyrie doesn't go off against the Warriors. Kyrie is the type of player who does it. Kyrie, Lou Williams, the small guards who can just get in and, like, when you make Klay Thompson guard somebody that small, it doesn't always work, especially if they're as good as Kyrie or Lou Will. Like,
and especially if he can switch himself onto Steph.
Yeah, and especially if your rim protector's 6'7".
Yeah.
Like, I love Draymond, but Kyrie's going to finish over Draymond.
Yeah, no problem.
Every time.
Which, all right, I think The other thing I want to talk about, too, is free agency predictions, because a tweet today, and I don't know if you saw my tweet where I put my predictions out.
I saw it. I'll look at it.
But let's just run through them, and I'll just ask you where we think people are going to go, because now we're talking about Kyrie. So, free agent prediction card, Kevin Durant.
I had such a better idea of it. I'm going to feel so smart if he goes to Brooklyn. Just from throwing that out in January, like, yeah, this will happen. Sure. And then I'll lose my shit if he goes to Brooklyn. I don't know, man. Like, the Knicks being, like, an absolute lock seems like, dude, if you lose the finals, like, you have every right to go back to Golden State and be like, I want to run this back.
Well,
like,
and the fact that he's losing, they're going to lose the finals without him, I think also plays heavily into the fact that he could just go, let me sign a 1-on-1, and next year things will get real interesting.
And I love the people like, do you even want him on a 1-on-1? Yes, he's Kevin Durant. I'll take him on a 10-day. Like,
what do you mean?
Yes, I want Kevin Durant. I mean, like,
did the Cavs want LeBron on a 1-on-1 all of those years?
Yes, we would like LeBron James. Thank you. Like, if it's 30 days, he wants to re-up every 30 days, that's fine. Like, but the best place for him is Golden State. Like, he clearly fits. It clearly works.
And now that they're going to lose without him, it's actually an like, he's collecting goodwill from this.
And you want to change his scenery? Move across the bridge. Like, they're going to San Francisco, brand new practice facility, brand new arena. If you come back, you are guaranteed a statue. Right now, you're only guaranteed your number getting retired, even though you've won 2 finals MVPs. You come back, you're guaranteed a statue.
Do you think he's staying?
No. No.
I think he's going to the Knicks.
All the things that I've listed would get me to stay, but do I think Kevin Durant's going to stay? No, I think he's going to the Knicks. Yeah.
And he might not win.
There's an off chance he goes to Brooklyn, but I think he's going to the Knicks.
He might not win going to the Knicks, but I think he's going to the Knicks.
You want a fun stat? Like, this whole Knicks and Pelicans trade thing, New Orleans Pelicans have 21 more regular season wins than the Knicks since 2000. The New Orleans Pelicans didn't exist till 2002.
Boy.
That's how bad the Knicks are.
They stink.
It's not like he's going to a young team ready to win and he's just going to take them. Like, if you're going to Brooklyn, that's the case. New York's best player is Noah Vonleh.
They also had 5 years of prime Carmelo Anthony that they just threw down the toilet.
I mean, Amari, they signed D Rose and Joakim Noah. They've signed guys. They've tried, but that's 2000. That's 19 years, and they have 21 fewer wins than a team that wasn't even around until 2002 and has never been to a conference finals. It's not like the Pelicans are good.
Have they been out of the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, with Chris Paul a couple times.
Okay, yeah, okay. Back then, it's so long ago.
They got swept by Golden State, or lost in 5 by Golden State, but they got out of it last year.
I forgot they swept Portland.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard.
Who knows?
It's a coin flip for me, but I think he's going to the Clippers.
If I were him and I wanted the best possible situation, I would go to the Clippers.
The more interesting question, do you think his mind is made up, no matter what happens? I think he's made his decision.
He seems like a guy with, like, the most simple mind, but, like, at the same time, I have no idea how to read him.
I don't think the Kawhi and Dine would woo him at all.
He said on record he didn't buy a house. Like, all that reported, he said today, I didn't buy a house. But he said yet.
Yeah, I don't think, like, the Clippers saying they'll buy his logo. I think the thing he really cares about the most, and it might favor Toronto, is a medical team that really cares about him.
It's true.
That will give him load management, because that's the biggest thing he said with that Rachel Nichols interview is, hey, I only played 60 games. I took that 5-game stretch off. I wouldn't be here if I didn't do that.
Yep, straight up.
And they were fine with me doing that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, I don't know what's going to sway Kawhi Leonard. I can't read him.
Who can?
Yeah, I mean, but the Clippers, like, you can't do it better than the Clippers have done it to try to get somebody. Like, they have exhausted every option, gone down every avenue of trying to recruit this guy. They fired Bruce Bowen because he said one bad word about him.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to go somewhere that loves you, it seems like Steve Ballmer really, really loves you. But I bet they would in Toronto, too.
Oh, they definitely... And that's where, like, that's the thing that might woo him away from it is, I'm not staying in Toronto to do more. I have already done everything I could possibly do here. Yeah. I'm going to get my number retired. So... why don't I'm just going to go do it where I want to live now. Like, that's...
He could stay Toronto on a 1-on-1. Like, we talk about Durant on a 1-on-1.
Sure.
He could easily stay on a 1-on-1.
Wouldn't that change? Like, if Durant stays in Golden State on a 1-on-1 and Kawhi stays in Toronto on a 1-on-1, and then Kyrie's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to stay in Boston on a 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Next summer, we're looking at Giannis, Kyrie, Kawhi. And, yeah. And then we're looking at Giannis, Kyrie, Kawhi, and Kevin Durant as free agents all in the same summer.
Yeah.
In a year... Oh yeah, and AD.
Anthony Davis.
In a year where Golden State has cap, and all of these. That's the thing nobody wants to talk about. Is
it's real too. Like if he leaves, like they could just give it to Boogie, but if he does, like they'd go after anybody they want. You want Tobias Harris?
But even like he leaves, and they're like, you know what? Let's wait a year. Let's get Clay back, and then in 2020, when Livingston and Iguodala come off the books,
Livingston's done this year. I bet he's retiring.
You think?
I think so.
Okay, so then he's off the books early, but then next year, if you have like, hey, Livingston's gone, Iguodala's gone, and Draymond is temporarily off of our books, he can just wait the week and let us sign whoever we want and then come back in for whatever we offer him. Anthony Davis, Golden State Warrior.
If you want to win a championship, those guys know how to do it. It'll be interesting to see how long Steve Kerr wants to coach.
That's right,
like,
and that's where like
stayed that long at anything.
They have this opportunity where they don't have Michael Jordan, but they have Steph and Clay, and it's keep both of them forever. Lock Clay in this summer. Steph's already locked in. You have the 1 year gap like the Bulls had, where you don't have Kevin Durant and you just kind of flounder for a season.
You lose to the Magic.
Sure, yeah.
You lose to Shaq and Kobe.
Whoever they end up
Kobe
losing to,
Shaq
whether
and
it's
Penny.
the Clippers and they lose to Kawhi and Lou Williams. But then they come back a year later with Anthony Davis and they start this whole thing over.
It's a play. It's a play. It could happen. Like
it's not far out.
No
of the
one
realm
has
of
any
possibility.
idea what's going to happen because every single move, there's going to be dominoes and chess pieces and all. Like you never. There are guys who are going to wait. I'm very interested to see who the first guy is going to be. Like I can't. That's the thing I want to try to predict is like who's going to be the dude that steps up and be like, "Yep, I'm going first." Like you never know when it happens.
I'll tell you, I know. I think I know. Like you're saying, the guy who's going to sign at a team first.
Yes, like because there's going to be somebody on June 30th. At
I
7
think I
o'clock
know
who's
who
like,
it is.
I'm going.
People are going to make fun of me, but Klay Thompson. Is there any chance that he leaves? I don't think there's any chance. No. Like maybe a 1% chance he goes to the Lakers. But
the best thing that happened to the Warriors was him not making All NBA. They don't have to give him $221 million. They will gladly give him $190, and he will stay.
Yep.
And he should. Get your money. They love you there. Everybody loves Klay Thompson, man. Like
it's hard not to love him.
He's just the easiest guy in the world to be like in a locker room, on the court, just easy everywhere.
The next guy is the guy I think might be first, and people are going to make fun of me. Kyrie Irving.
He'd be my candidate if I had to pick one to go first.
We're going to pick him to go to different teams, though.
Where are you picking him?
Boston.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, did Danny Ainge sound optimistic to you?
He didn't sound pessimistic.
No, but like he didn't sound like he had a good feeling about it.
I'm not into reading tea leaves.
Sure.
The tampering stuff, I don't think Kyrie has openly said anything to the Nets because just tampering forbids it, and I doubt that either team is willing to do that. And the Instagram story with the Larry Bird told me be true, with the be true and green, Danny Ainge coming out and going, look, he hasn't said anything to us about not being willing to re-sign.
But he hasn't said anything to them, period.
But which is
exactly what you do when you're
right.
Yeah.
And Danny Ainge is also like, we have contingency plans in order where if he goes someplace else, we know what we're going to do and what our plan is. Mm-hmm. We also know if he comes back, and like this might be the biggest thing that woos him is, you can go to the Nets and kind of have the bring a friend thing as a free agent, but if you come back here, me as a GM, I will trade anyone and everyone who you don't like to get you Anthony Davis and get this team to be a title contender.
And it's everything that Brooklyn...
Oh, by the way, we can give you $30 million extra.
Yeah, that too. That's a nice kicker. But like everything Brooklyn can offer them. Great market, brand new practice facility, great arena, all that. Boston has all of it.
Boston has a brand new practice facility.
Yep, literally, I think they opened in the same year.
A great market.
Yeah. They can offer
Boston's
him every
opened this
single
year.
thing. Yeah. So 2 years. So they can offer every single thing that Brooklyn can offer.
And $30 million more dollars.
Like,
and Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Brooklyn might be able to offer Anthony Davis, too.
Shit, Atlanta might be able to offer Anthony Davis.
But that's a very real situation for Brooklyn, to be able to be like, we'll give you Jared Allen and D'Angelo. And when do they have any pick? No, they already gave it to...
D'Angelo would have to be a sign and trade, wouldn't he? Yeah. I feel like if they're going to do that, they would just keep him. Because they said they're very interested in the D'Angelo-Kyrie backcourt.
Boy, that's an awful defensive backcourt.
It's not great.
I mean, they've got a lot. They have a great backup backcourt. That's the thing with Brooklyn is they're stacked. They got LeVert and Dinwiddie off the bench. They got Joe Harris as a shooter. Jared Allen doesn't have much of an offensive game, but he protects the rim. And if you're signing it, they have room to sign another guy if they want to get rid of D'Angelo. They can't sign another guy if they keep D'Angelo.
Right.
So do you want another 4, or do you want to just tell Karis LeVert he's your starting 2 now?
It's not a bad option, as long as he stays healthy.
Go after a 4. I think they move D'Angelo if they get Kyrie.
The issue, if they get Kyrie and then they bump Karis LeVert and then they go and get a Kevin Durant, you're putting a lot of eggs in injury baskets.
It's true. I think it could be somebody else other than Durant. Like there's other guys out there. There
are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys left to predict here.
Nobody talks about Nick Vucevic. That dude was an all-star this year.
I think he's staying put.
I would pay him if I were Orlando. Sure. Like unless you're like, hey, Mo Bamba's here, we don't need you.
I think he's a really interesting. I think especially like Boston, should Kyrie leave, Vucevic is a really interesting option to go out and get.
Nick Vucevic is a damn good basketball player.
Because I feel like if Kyrie decides to leave and Horford's like, all right, I'm going to opt in because I want the money, let's go sign Vucevic and have a nice front court. Like it's a really good option for the Celtics.
If Nick Vucevic were a free agent that year that Gordon Hayward were a free agent, he'd be talked about a hell of a lot more because there was nobody else. When you're behind all these other guys, it is what it is, but that dude's an all-star.
He's so good.
He earned being on that all-star team.
It's tough when you're playing in Orlando.
It is. They don't watch you. And you know what? He won one game in Toronto.
DJ Augustine won that game.
Shouts to DJ Augustine. Best player on Texas in 2007.
All right, so we got Nick Vucevic out of. Well, where do you think he's going to go? Because I think he's just going to stay in Orlando.
Yeah, I would pay him if I were Orlando. John Hammond is usually in the business of paying his guys to keep them in small markets, so I would imagine he'd stay. If he doesn't stay and Capella gets moved, I guarantee Houston's going after Nick Vucevic.
It's an interesting option. They could be,
well.
And then they get off of Chris Paul, bring somebody in.
That would be what you try.
It's interesting. Jimmy Butler. I got him at the Lakers. I think it's toss up there, Philly.
I had dinner with Jim Boylan in Chicago last week.
Oh, brother. No way.
He did.
That's fine. He might have had dinner with Jim Boylan. He's not fucking going back to Chicago.
It'd be just no one would see it coming. And
there's
really
no
can't.
way.
Again, Garpax screwing themselves by just trading for Otto Porter and his massive cap hit. Like, what the hell are you doing? You gave up Bobby Portis for Otto Porter's cap hit?
We had to get off Bobby Portis real bad.
What are you doing? Like,
we really
let's get a wing, like the one thing you could bring somebody in for.
Boy, it's tough.
Garpax. So yeah, that's never going to happen. But Jimmy is another one who he could go.
He's tough to read.
He could stay in Philly.
I think it's kind of a 2-horse race between Philly and the Lakers. I think Brooklyn maybe can edge themselves into it.
You have to ask yourself, if you're Brooklyn, do we want D'Angelo Russell at 22 or Jimmy Butler at 30?
Or do we want neither of them, or do we want like Kyrie and Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, that's true. Jimmy Butler, I'm not going to count out the Knicks. The Knicks are going to get desperate. If they're losing to the Nets, they're not going to stand pat and not spend that money.
The only thing like the Nets worry me with is if you don't keep D'Lo, like what does that make them as an organization to bring this guy in, turn him into an all-star, and then just go, we're really, like in free agency, we're not interested in you.
It'd be like the Clippers, except they didn't pay Blake the money.
That's true.
They could sign and trade D'Lo, so it'd be almost like the same thing because Blake was essentially a sign and trade, just took 4 months. Like
4 months and a lot of broken promises.
Yeah, a lot of broken promises. But still, I think Jimmy fits like again, everything swings on all these different things. If Charlotte decides we're not paying Kemba Walker $221 million, then Kemba Walker could team up with Jimmy. Like a lot of things could happen.
These are all chess. That's why I have them all predicted out.
Kawhi leaves Toronto.
It kind of all does relate to one another.
Kawhi leaves Toronto, and Toronto says, no, we don't want to rebuild.
Who are they going to... That's tough.
Yeah,
I think if Kawhi leaves, there's options, but I think the biggest option for them would just be, we got to
you're replacing the best player in the world. You're not replacing DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, that's not great. Chris Middleton. They almost have to.
Yeah, I would pay him. I got to imagine he gets paid. Maybe
I think
a little
he stays.
less than the max, but I bet he stays.
It'd be hard to leave. I think Giannis next year is a more interesting conversation for whether or not he stays. I think Middleton's probably more limited in options. He's going to get offer sheets.
For sure. You think Portland's not throwing an offer sheet at Chris Middleton?
But if you're Chris Middleton and you're like, I can go to Portland and play with lesser talent, or I can stay in Milwaukee for the exact same amount of money and play with one of the 3 best players on earth.
Yeah, be an all-star in the East. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to pay him. I think he stays anyways. It'll be very interesting with Giannis next year. It'll be very interesting to see how well that shoe sells in Milwaukee.
Their thing is going to be the team. There's a very plausible chance that it's a completely different looking team next year that just doesn't do as well.
You got a bunch of free agents.
Yeah. Nick Vucevic, we already went over. D'Angelo Russell. I think he stays in Brooklyn.
I think he signs a contract to stay in Brooklyn, whether it's a sign and trade or he stays put. It's one of those two.
That's
he's not
fine.
getting an offer sheet. He's not going out looking for it. He'll wait.
That's fine. That's a better way of putting it, because I don't know that he will be a Brooklyn Net on opening day next year, but I think that he will sign his free agency contract in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Kemba Walker, I've bounced back and forth on this. I want to say Lakers, but I'm just sticking with Charlotte. I think he stays.
If they throw the bag at him, there is no way he turns it down. Like, you can't. You're 9 years into your career. You haven't won a whole lot of anything, whether they've been to 2 playoff series
but at the
9
same
years.
Like, they failed you, bro. Like,
they failed you, but you know what? $221 million makes up for a lot of failure.
But you're just gonna keep getting failed by the organization. And I have him staying in Charlotte, but you can't trade. Like, when anyone who's signed to the Supermax in the history of the Supermax, it's not a great contract.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But literally every single player, former player, current player that I have heard weigh in on this is, you sign that money.
Get your money.
If
Except
they
Paul
put
George.
220 in front of you, you sign. But like Steven Jackson, all the people that you see on TV, all the former players are like, I don't care if they lose. You put $221 million in front of me. You sign it and figure it out later.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the money.
Tobias Harris, I'm a little
Could be anywhere.
way out there on this. I put New York Knicks.
I'm going to say Utah. I want him to go to Utah really bad, so I'm going to say Utah.
You got the Tobias. You got what I have for Brogdon with the where I want him to go rather than where I really think he's going to go.
You want Brogdon to go to Utah?
No, I just
fits.
I just have the team I selected for Brogdon is where I really want him to go, not where I really think he's going to go. The Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. Didn't see that one coming.
I bet you didn't. How perfect of a fit would Malcolm Brogdon be in that lineup?
That's a hell of a trying to fit him in the cap, but that would work. It would work. Definitely would work. I want Utah to trade or go get Tobias and trade for Mike Conley.
What's Brogdon's sheet really going to be? He's going to get like the 4-year $90 million, right? He's not going to get a max.
What did CJ get? 4 for 112 or something like that.
Yeah, he'll be in that range.
Unless they give him a 5, and if he takes less money for more years.
Right, so it could be 5 for 112, and then he'll just be sitting alongside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And dude, I think he's a perfect fit. They need shooting.
For sure he fits. Philly's got a lot of questions to answer. They've got
they're in a tough spot.
It's not just Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. JJ Redick is arguably the most important person on that offense behind Joel Embiid.
Folks trusted the process, and we're not rewarded. No, I would argue.
You need to figure out a way that if you're not going to have JJ Redick, you're going to bring some shooting in. I don't know what it is, but you got to have shooting.
JJ
Redick, Embiid and Simmons, you got to have shooting.
JJ Redick, he never gets talked about in the summer conversation. He's going to be the same thing as Vince Carter, where he's going to take him a week and a half, then he'll get a deal somewhere.
Wouldn't shock me if he's on the Lakers.
It seems like the perfect guy to be there.
Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if he went to Brooklyn. If Brooklyn needs another guy and they can get he lives in Brooklyn in the offseason, so that won't shock me one bit. I do think probably though he goes back out west.
Even if the Lakers get Jimmy Butler, I still think that's the perfect landing spot for JJ Redick.
He is tailor-made to play with LeBron James.
Absolutely.
He's tailor-made to play with LeBron James.
And they could if they had Jimmy, JJ, and LeBron, they could go so positionless and then trade for Chris Paul. All of a sudden, LeBron's your small ball center. And you just run like Jimmy Butler as the smallest 4 in the history of basketball.
Not that they would give a shit about the relationship between those two, but I don't think JJ Redick wants to play with Chris Paul ever again.
It's probably true.
I think he's good on Chris Paul. Forever.
He'd be like Rondo sitting on.
I got to do this again.
He'd be Rondo sitting by the scorers table earlier this year. It was like Rondo wanted nothing to do with anyone
Redick
on the Lakers.
Was a noted Blake Griffin guy, not a noted Chris Paul guy. They were sides picked, and it was very clear who JJ Redick's side was on.
I think Chris Paul to the Lakers is like a foregone conclusion. Just in my mind, I might be completely wrong.
They're to me the only team that is dumb enough to take that contract. They're the only one. Unless the Suns out of nowhere decide they're going to do it.
It's a lot of things that look, if the Lakers are smart, well, that one off because the Lakers aren't smart.
The Lakers are not smart. That is.
So forget about it. There's a lot of takes like that where people, well, if the Lakers do the smart thing, okay, then stop talking about it.
The Lakers do the smart thing? Who's their GM? Who could they have hired? Okay, the Lakers don't do the smart thing.
Right. It's literally Rob Pelinka gets launched out of a cannon if by some chance Masai Ujiri's like, hey,
they didn't call.
I'd love to be in LA.
No, but they didn't call. Like, all those GMs who told Woj, like, yeah, I'd have listened. Like, Neil Oshie in Portland got a contract extension out of it. He didn't even have to take a phone call. Bob Myers said he would have listened. He's an LA guy. Masai would have at least, like, answered the phone. Like,
Dude,
they didn't even call.
I think there's a shot that Masai Ujiri could just follow Kawhi to the Clippers if Kawhi leaves.
I think the Clippers, the way that their like entire front office has been so loyal through this whole thing. Like, people tried to poach the Clippers front office,
and they've been
all
terrific.
Of them were like, I'm not going anywhere. Winger said no. I don't think Lawrence Frank got a job offer, but everybody else in there said no. And they seem to like. That's why I think the Clippers are doing something big this summer, because that front office, like, the two other guys who could have taken other jobs, and they're just like, nope, I'm sticking it out for this summer. I want to see what happens. So I think that's why I think they're poised for everything.
And I think they're going to have that huge summer.
Yeah, for sure.
So then DeMarcus Cousins. Tobias, I said, is going to the Knicks, by the way. That was my prediction for Tobias.
God, I hope not.
Kevin Durant and Tobias Harris.
You know they're going to, like, there is 1,000% chance that they panic and spend the money.
Did you see the Reddit comment before we do Boogie? The Reddit comment that if the Knicks whiff on Kyrie and Jimmy Butler, somebody was like, listen, work it out this way where we're going to have Kevin Knox make a deal to trade the 3rd pick to Atlanta and get Kevin Huerter back, get Kevin Durant.
Well, you're trading Kevin Knox and the 3rd pick for Kevin Huerter?
You're keeping Kevin Knox.
Oh, okay.
You're keeping you get Kevin Durant. You trade the 3rd
Kevin
pick.
Huerter for the 3rd pick?
You trade the 3rd pick and get Kevin Huerter back.
Take John Collins.
I know, but it's just then you do like a sign and trade, or Cleveland buys out Kevin Love and you sign him, and then you have a Kevin starting five.
I mean, I just like the Knicks are like, we read the stat about them winning fewer games, and we're like, people don't. I watched way too many Knicks games this year. They don't have talent. Like Dennis Smith is the only possible future. Like, I'll guess maybe Knox, but Knox was legitimately bad this year. Like, people thought he was going to be a steal, and he didn't make an all-rookie team. He was bad. He was the 3rd best rookie on their team by far, behind the 26th pick and a guy who didn't even get drafted. Like, Kevin Knox was not good. So this whole Kevin Knox is a trade chip. Like, Dennis Smith Jr. is a trade chip. Mitchell Robinson is the biggest trade chip they have, other than the 2 Dallas picks and the 3rd pick. Like, they're not good. Like, I just want to reiterate that to everyone. The Knicks are not Kevin Durant away from being a finals team. They aren't good at all.
It's like the other thing is, like, they're one of their diamond pieces in Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, like, I didn't even say him.
But he wants to be DeMar DeRozan. Not a successful. Like, that's not a template you want to follow, buddy.
Like, I didn't even say Frank Ntilikina, the dude they drafted 7th overall 2 years ago. Like, I'm not even talking about him because their best player is Noah Vonleh. Like, they're bad. They're really bad.
And the fact that they're going to get Kevin Durant, I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. I really hope. I love KD. I want him to stay in Golden State.
Yeah, I think that's the best place for him.
I hated when he went there because I thought it was cheap. I've come around on it enough now where I've realized they really fucking needed him.
The NBA's hard.
Yeah, it's a tough league to win in. They needed him. He needed them. Very mutually beneficial relationship. Now that they're losing without him, it feels hilarious if he stays. And it's best for his life. Like, he can build more goodwill there than he ever had the opportunity to when he signed that contract. If he goes to the Knicks, he can ultimately build more goodwill as a Knick.
But he won't.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult, especially if Kyrie and Jimmy Butler go to Brooklyn. Are you kidding me?
Like, that's the thing with the Knicks. Everybody's like, if you win in New York, you're the greatest. That is like capital I, capital F. Like, you are not going to win.
You are going into a division where even if Kyrie leaves, the Celtics are on the back end of a really good rebuild. At worst, at best, they remain contenders. The Nets become contenders. The Knicks immediately become contenders by virtue of having Kevin Durant. But you are in a division where you have to compete with the Celtics, the Nets, the Sixers. It's like you are putting yourself in hell.
If you're going to go that's the thing. If he joins the Nets, The Nets are a title contender with Kevin Durant. They are. Like, I'm not saying they could.
If him and Kyrie both do, they might be the betting favorite.
Either or joins, and they're a title contender, right? They get one of those guys, and they take a team that was a 6 seed and got playoff experience and has a great coaching staff and all that. They're a title contender, like right away. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they can contend. Kevin Durant going to the Knicks, they need like 4 other guys. Like, you're not winning shit with Noah Vonleh at the 4.
Where would the Knicks be in betting odds if they got Kevin Durant? Because I think if the Nets land both, they are the betting favorite, I would venture.
If the Knicks get Durant,
at least in the East.
No one else, just Durant.
Say they get Durant and Tobias Harris, so they have Carmelo Anthony and Kevin Durant.
God, dude, like the 5 seed. If that's it, if Dennis Smith Jr. and Damian Dotson is your starting backcourt, and you're bringing Trier off the bench,
that's where like people go, well, Kevin Durant. And I'm like, dude, we saw Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, and they were never better than the 2.
I mean this as no knock to Kevin Durant. I think he is an all-time scorer. Do you know how much worse he'll be with those teammates than he is with the teammates he has now? Like, dude, like he won't be the same guy. They'll bombard him.
He's infinitely better in Golden State than he was in Oklahoma City, and he was really good in Oklahoma City.
He gets one-on-ones in Golden State. In what other place would he get one-on-ones? Like,
Nowhere.
It would never happen. He catches the ball in the post, and they can't double.
No, it's just the situation that he has in Golden State.
It's perfect for him.
It cannot get better basketball-wise.
It's perfect for him.
So if he really doesn't give a fuck about winning anymore, or about finals MVP, or about his legacy, sure, go to the Knicks.
Sure.
You want to be in New York? Feel free.
The Garden will go nuts for him. Like, the whole city will lose their shit, but you will not win.
What if they get Kevin Durant and Kyrie? What happens to their betting odds?
The thing is like,
they don't play well off each other.
I don't think they play well off each other, but they're 2 of the most unbelievable offensive weapons in the NBA. I give them
it's
credit.
also
Chris Paul and James Harden didn't play well together. They were a game away from the finals.
It's also LeBron and Kyrie at times didn't play well together, and they won a championship
for LeBron too. Though, but yes, they'll figure it out. They're both basketball savants.
KD and Kyrie is more like Kyrie and LeBron than any other pairing could be.
I would be very interested to see which one was less selfish when that came to it, because one of those guys is going to average 3 more assists, and one of those guys is going to average 2 less points. I would wonder which one it would be. They both see a lot of double teams.
My bet would be that KD would be the less selfish one. That KD would be the one to bite the bullet and say, I'm not going to shoot so much.
Like that's my thing with KD, man. Like, if you go to the Knicks, they better have a plan in place the second. Like, I'm not just going to the Knicks if they show up with $200 million. Be like, yeah, okay. Everyone's showing up with this. What else can you do?
It's going to have to be, when's draft night?
26th? 20-something?
It's going to, I think it's the 27th.
Okay.
But it's going to have to be a draft night deal where the Knicks do what Adam Schefter predicted and send the 3rd to New Orleans and bring in Anthony Davis. And they're just like, hey, Kevin, how about now?
That's the best sell. And then they're a title contender, obviously.
Then they might be very close to the betting favorite.
Because then you don't give, like, Dennis Smith doesn't need the ball.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to have the ball. And you're probably giving Dennis Smith to New Orleans. It's not just the 3rd pick that's going to get him. So you have room then. Then you go get another point guard like a Rondo or whoever, and you read if they can remake the roster, which to their credit they can. The trade for Porzingis allowed them to do that. They were handicapped. They had Hardaway on the books for years. They had Lee on the books for years. They had Joakim Noah on the books. It was a great trade if you can finish it. Like, right now, it's just a great trade floating in the universe. You got to bring it back down to earth.
Yeah.
Like, you made the cap space. You got rid of a guy who, A, couldn't play this year, and B, didn't want to be there.
Yep.
And you got rid of bad contracts, and you got back a possible, not likely, but possible all-star in Dennis Smith. You got to flip that, and what else you got, those 2 first-round picks, and finish the trade. Because you didn't trade for Dennis Smith. No. Like, you don't want Dennis Smith for Porzingis. You want what Dennis Smith can bring you.
If you trade Kristaps Porzingis, you better get Anthony Davis.
Absolutely. Or a comparable Anthony Davis. Like,
right.
Yes. You got to land something.
That's what it comes down to for this team. It's you traded Kristaps. You have to bring something back.
I don't think that they thought when they made that move that all these other teams would try to position themselves too. I think they thought this was going to be us against the Lakers, not us against the Nets, against the Lakers, against the Celtics, against all these other teams, and the Clippers.
But I think they also thought we are going to have Zion Williamson too.
Yeah,
and if they did,
they convinced their fans they were.
If they did have Zion Williamson, it would be much more. It's going to be us against the Lakers. Like, it would feel a lot less like everyone is battling for this.
I mean, the one team that couldn't get Zion to make the trade happen got Zion. Like, the Pelicans were the only... If anybody else had him, you could immediately say Zion in our next first-round pick or Zion in whoever our young player is, and you're getting Anthony Davis. And New Orleans does it every time. But New Orleans got him on a silver platter instead.
And because of that, Brooklyn was able to move off of Allen Crabbe and put the Hawk... Like, that... The reason that trade pissed me off is because both teams benefited so greatly.
It's a great trade.
It's
a phenomenal trade.
There's no way I can slander any side of it. It was the perfect NBA trade.
I said when Crabbe opted in, how serious the Knicks will be, or how serious the Nets will be, is a dead giveaway to how quick this becomes a buyout. And instead of a buyout, they pulled off a beautiful trade. They didn't have to buy him out. It's amazing.
Atlanta might still buy him out.
Oh, they should.
They also will move up in the draft and will be a playoff contender this year.
I still how much do you think they can move up? Because those the first two teams,
maybe
they're
3.
not moving.
Depending on what the Knicks want to do, maybe 3. 4's not going anywhere. I think they could take the 5 from Cleveland.
I think Cleveland wants to move off that pick.
Yeah.
I think that's where they move up. But aren't they 6? Isn't Atlanta 6?
8.
8? Yeah, okay. That's fair. Move up 3 picks, get Jarrett Culver, I guess.
Because otherwise, you have 3 picks inside the top 20, but the bottom half is so weak.
That feels like the bottom half of the top 10 is kind of weak.
I know. So maybe just get yourself into the position of being 5 and roll with it. See what happens.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you're not getting anything of...
Phoenix is 6, right? The Lakers are 4.
Phoenix is... Yes.
The Lakers could
Phoenix
move...
is 5 or 6.
Phoenix, I think, is 6. Cleveland is 5.
Yeah.
And the Lakers
Bulls
could move off of 4.
I would fully expect the Lakers to move off of 4. Or draft somebody they know they're trading.
Atlanta could get up to 4.
But I don't expect them to move off it to Atlanta. Who are they getting back?
Those other 2 first-round picks?
It depends. If they want to use 4 to go get Anthony Davis,
it might be
move off it.
But it could also be a 3-team situation where Atlanta finds a way to move up, the Lakers find a way to get Anthony Davis.
There are at least, they started, what was it, Wednesday we found out Griff was listening?
Yeah.
So there are at least 4 or 5 trades that we don't know about that are set up right now, and they're picking.
And Danny Ainge has one of them.
Once he says, I'm listening... It's over. He's not good. The whole, could he come to training camp? Could they bring him? No, it's over. He's gone. He's never going to play in New Orleans again. That's done.
If Anthony Davis doesn't get moved on draft night.
I don't think it has to be draft night, but I expect it to be draft night.
But if it's not, how scary do the Celtics immediately become as an offseason player? If Anthony Davis...
depends on what they want to give up.
I think if Anthony Davis doesn't move on draft night, it's speculation will suddenly curve back towards Kyrie staying in Boston. If he moves on draft night, I think people will go, he would have gone to Boston if they had an inclination that they were keeping Kyrie and really going to make this trade.
That's my thing, though. I think the teams that are not just trying to get Anthony Davis to add to what they have, but trying to get Anthony Davis and then add somebody else, they're going to be very inclined to do it on draft night because they have 3 days before they got to start pitching.
It comes down to what David Griffin thinks is the best deal. And if he thinks the best deal is Jason Tatum plus whatever future picks and whatever other players Boston wants to throw in on that, he will wait for it.
Keep an eye on who Boston drafts if they're taking those picks.
And if Danny Ainge is sitting there and he's on the phone with David Griffin going, look, man, I know everybody's talking about Kyrie to Brooklyn. No, he's staying here, and we are going to trade for Anthony Davis. Don't move him on draft night. I can't imagine David Griffin's going to go, no, I'm going to move him on draft night.
David Griffin's a smart GM, though. He could not trust Danny Ainge, and it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility.
Listen, and that's
not trust Danny
part
Ainge.
of that's part
though
of. I
think Danny Ainge is about to fleece Daryl Morey on something.
I have a feeling
if he wants Capella, then it's for a reason.
Danny Ainge has something up his sleeve. Whether Kyrie leaves or stays, the Celtics have some play that nobody sees coming.
He'd be just like Trader Danny to be like, let me fleece this nerd.
Because
I'm a former player GM. Let me show you how much better former players are.
Look at the offseason when they lost to the Cavs with Isaiah Thomas, and everybody goes, well, they have no options. What are they going to do? And all of a sudden, the entire team gets moved for Kyrie Irving. Just out of nowhere. I do think... no matter what happens, the Celtics are still one of the scariest players in the offseason just because Trader Danny is going to be willing to go and get some player nobody has even thought of. And we'll all just go, oh shit.
There are 8 teams in the NBA that won a playoff series this year. They're one of them.
Still good.
Yeah. They're
still
not
pretty
bad.
good.
They're not bad.
Yeah, that was my last question before I got it was, do you think Anthony Davis will get moved on draft night?
I'm expecting it. I would... It again, you said it. It's all up to Griff. If Griff decides the best deal's not going to come until after free agency, I don't know how that works, but maybe it does. I would expect him to be moved, if not sooner than draft night, on draft night.
It could even be July 1st.
Could be.
Like,
Yeah.
What did you say? June 30th, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Boom. Anthony Davis is traded.
It could happen. It could, like, it's one of those things where, like I said, if a team that is going after Anthony Davis to pair him with someone else, then I think it's going to be draft night. But if it's a team that's just like, we want to add Anthony Davis,
they'll wait.
I don't know what team that is, but they'll wait.
It's Boston. Yeah. That's the only one.
Yeah.
All the other,
Probably.
like the Lakers, if they're going to go and get him, they'll do it draft night. Mm-hmm. If the Knicks want to do it, they'll do it draft night. All of the teams that
they'll do
really,
it only when Griff says they can do it.
Right, but that's all of the teams that really want to do it. It'll get done on draft night.
You keep hearing about the surprise team. There's going to be one surprise. Every single time I hear Zach Lowe open his mouth about Anthony Davis, it's there's going to be a surprise team. Or just tell me who it is.
What if it's
Please let it
Houston?
be Utah.
It's not Utah.
I know, but I want it.
What if it's Houston?
What do they have? Like Chris Paul? Like you giving up Chris Paul to go back to New Orleans? You have to for the money. Capella.
I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility. I think David Griffin's smarter than that, but
my thing for Houston is, like, should every team in the NBA exhaust every possible resource they have to try to get Anthony Davis? Yes, absolutely. But I think Houston's main priority is getting off Chris Paul.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're focused on this summer, is getting off Chris Paul and reshaping.
Which is hilarious.
Which means Harden's going to average 40 and 11 next year.
One summer after you gave him the worst extension in history, they're like, yeah, this was a dumbass idea. Let's get the hell out.
It was real stupid.
What if it's Portland that just shocks the world and goes and gets Anthony Davis?
I would love it. Like, that'd be great for Portland.
For a year, because he's not staying there.
And I don't... You'd have to give up CJ.
Right. Like, you can't keep Damian and CJ and still get Anthony Davis.
You can't. You'd have to give up CJ, and Dame's about to sign a supermax. He's not going anywhere.
Golden State's on the table to get AD, not this year. That's where I'm at with them.
Yeah, like that's always been that rumor. Like there's all that's been like 2 or 3 years old. That one time Anthony Davis will be a free agent, will sign in Golden State. I don't know who sees. Like
I think the money's going to end up working out in a way where it's like, hey Draymond, we need you to wait a week.
Could be. It could be. I don't know where to predict Anthony Davis to go because it's a trade. Like if it were free agency, this would be like he's going here, here, here. But it's always that random team that can come in at the end, like. You said, what if Atlanta says, fuck it, we're going after him? Like,
God, that'd be crazy.
Everybody but Trae Young. And our picks.
I would love
doesn't do that?
I would love to not move off John Collins, but Kevin Huerter alone is not nearly enough.
No, but I mean, what do they have? 4 picks in the top 20?
3 in
the
top 20.
3 picks in the top 20. And John Collins and...
Huerter
and Bazemore? Who else do they have to make the money work? Bazemore or Alan Crabb? Like if they want,
they could turn Alan Crabb right around.
There are a bunch of what if teams.
Certainly, Brooklyn could figure out a way.
Miami still has Pat Riley.
It would be the surprise team.
They
too.
Could do it. There's not a lot that New Orleans would love, but if you want Josh Richardson,
the other thing is like
it's a lottery pick.
If Pat Riley wouldn't do that unless he knows Anthony Davis is re-signing because he's not adding anything.
No, what was the quote? I watched the dynasty walk out the window. Yeah, he's never doing that again. Like he'll never risk that ever again.
Yeah,
like won't happen.
Yeah, because man, he was pissed. When LeBron
he
left.
Sure was. He sure was.
He wasn't happy.
Don't blame him.
I don't know who was more angry, Dan Gilbert or Pat Riley when LeBron left.
To Riley's credit, there was no Comic Sans letter, but
there was a lot of
very.
There was
Riley.
It was like,
another guy.
To Dan Gilbert's credit, he never went in the media and was basically like "fuck LeBron James."
Yeah, essentially,
he put the Comic Sans letter out, sure, but Pat Riley was literally like "fuck that dude."
On the topic of Pat Riley and going back to old stuff, another guy that the Lakers just didn't call, who openly said, "Yeah, all my friends in Malibu want me to come home. Of course I would have listened," and they still didn't call. Your former championship-winning coach, you didn't even call him. He's a Laker.
You have LeBron James, a guy who won 2 titles and appeared in 4 with Pat Riley, and you don't even get him on the phone.
Maybe call him. Maybe just to like, hey, would it take more than $10 million a year? Yes. Okay, never mind. Like, just that. Like, something.
And even so, hey, would it take more than $10 million a year? Yes. Okay, how much more?
How much more? Like, will you promise to not hire Frank Vogel? Okay.
Like, you're bringing Spoelstra too?
Yeah.
All right, let's run this.
Anybody. He could bring Fizdale. He could have brought Juwan Howard. Remember the Lakers interviewed him? Remember the Lakers interviewed Juwan Howard? The guy who got the job at Michigan almost got interviewed before Frank Vogel. Does that mean Frank Vogel couldn't have got the job at Michigan?
How have we not talked about how bad of a hire Juwan Howard was for Michigan?
I think it's, I don't know what it's going to be. I have no idea, like, how he is as a recruiter or the kind of kid he's going to recruit. But put the banners back up. That's all I'm going to say. If you're going to hire him as head coach, put his banners back up. That's the only thing I'll say about that. Put the damn banner. If you're going to hire him as head coach, put his damn banners
It's
back
tough
up.
when they bring him in talking about his integrity.
Yeah, like...
Maybe that's not the right choice of words.
It's just Michigan, doing Michigan stuff.
Classic. All right, on that note, I'm ready if you are.
Totally.
See you next week. Thanks for listening.
Later.